Okay, this is Sam Taggart here again with some refactoring demos. I'm going to work on the Gilded Rose Kata. And I'm starting at this refactor simplify case branch. If you're doing this on your own, you can start the main branch or whatever. But if you want to follow along with what I'm doing, start the refactor simplify case. Because I've made a few minor refactorings to set up what I really want to show you all today. And I just made my own little branch here video demo so that I can make a few commits locally. I pushed the refactor simplify up to the repository on it's gitlab.com/sas-lv-katas. Go there, you can find it. I'll throw a link in the description. So I'm going to dock this for a minute. Gilded Rose, it's a LabVIEW project. It's some existing legacy code. And it's an inventory management system for this particular store called the Gilded Rose. It's kind of magical. You got to suspend your imagination for a minute or two. But they have a bunch of items, and they have different types of items, and they're all named. And they each have a sell and a quality. And depending on how many days have passed, so there's a days input, it recalculates the sell and quality for each one. And there's a set of rules in the README. You can read them about how they do that. And if we look at the code, you can see here, it takes our starting inventory. It's an array of clusters. It turns the clusters into classes, passes them off to this Gilded Rose class, updates the quality, takes the classes, pulls off all the information, and spits it back out. That's how it works, and it executes once for each day. If I go into this update quality, I have the navigation window open. You can see it's a giant thing. It's got a whole bunch of case structures inside a for loop. So really, it just goes through each of the items and then does this big long set of case structures to determine what to do with it. Now, why are we touching this code at all? Because they want to add a new type of item that gets calculated slightly differently. But before we can do that, we should probably clean up this mess. And it would be really nice if we could get to the point where we have a single case structure driven by the name for each case. It is one of the types of items, and it does whatever it does for that item. And then when we add the new item, we just add a new case. That's kind of where we're going. And you can see it's got this case, and then it's got this case, and that's got this case. So there's 3 cases here, and this one's nested like several deep, and this one only has 2 cases, the middle one, but this one has 3 cases inside it. So we're going to work on simplifying this. And I made some simplifications here. If you look at the main, this was driven by some other logic. I changed it to be driven by the name. Because it's just, this is the refactoring that I wanted to show you was this next step. Okay, so that's the setup. So what we have here is we have case structure driven by the name. And if the name is age breed or backstage passes, we're going to do this. And the other case, in this case, we don't really care about the moment. If it's default, we do all this, whatever this is. Now, inside here, we're checking the name, we're updating the quality, we're doing something, and then we're checking the name again. Now, we do have to be careful that when we check the name here, it's the same name that we got here. But in this case, I've looked at the code, and you can look at these quality read and write accessors. I'm not doing anything to the name. So the name that we get here should be the same name that we get here. So if we're in this case, and it's age Bree, we go through the false case, and if it's the other backstage passes, well, then it's true and here. But we already know that out here. So this extra check is redundant. So this will let us get rid of a layer of nesting. So I should, before we get started, let you know that we do have tests. And it is an LUnit test. And there's one test, and it's a verify test. And it's verify combination. I'll just show you real quickly what it does. This is something that allows us to easily test legacy code. So it's testing this test me VI. What's in this test me VI? Well, the test me VI just says take one item, update it for 1 day, and spit the data back out. And so what this is going to do, this combinations test, it's a combination approvals test. So what it's going to do is it's going to run this VI, once for every combination of name, cell, and quality. And so these are all the various names that it's going to go through. These are all the various cell dates that they're going to go through, and these are all the various qualities that they're going to go through. So it's going to pick a combination of those, run the thing, capture the output, and store into a text file. So we get a giant text file. I can show you the text file. It is right here. And so if naming is age, breed, quality is -1, cell is -1, it outputs age, breed, quality, out, cell out. So I ran this before I did anything to the code. And then as I make changes, I can run this again, and I should get the same result. So that's what this whole test setup is doing. And I picked each of these numbers so that I hit every case structure in this giant thing full of cases. So I picked those kind of intelligently, and LUnit has a code coverage tool, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and that lets me verify that that test generates 100% code coverage for this particular update quality VI. So every single case in here gets executed by that test. So that's my safety net. That gives me warm fuzzies as I'm making changes that I'm not breaking anything. And that was more of an explanation I want to go into. I just want to demo the refactoring, but that's okay. It gives you a little context. All right, so easy step here. Let's duplicate this case. And I'm going to make this the age breed case because I don't want to have to type out that other one, age breed. And our run arrow broke. Oh no, because the values are not unique, because I have it here too. So let's just delete this. And this is really simple, but I'm going to run my test again. And actually, I didn't run it before, sir, but I should have ran it. But I'm going to run it now, and it'll pass. It does take a little while, particularly if you have the VI open. If you close the VI, the test runs a little faster, but then you have to reopen the VI, so it just takes a second. And it's going through, I think there's 256 combinations, so it takes quite a while. Your computer, if you have a slow computer, might take a little longer. And it passed. Cool. That's very good. I don't know why it says execution time 0 seconds. That was definitely not 0 seconds. So that must be a bug there. I'll have to report that to Anton. Okay, so we did that, and it didn't break anything. I didn't expect that to break anything. But now we are in the backstage passes, right? We checked it out here. And again, these are not changing the name at all. So when we read the name here, we get the same name we would have got there. And we already know the answer to this, so we don't have to check this again. And this was a true case, so I'm going to do Control Space Control R. And I'm going to make sure the true case is selected, Control Space Control Shift R. And I could run the test again right now. I'm going to do both of these at once just because that test takes a little while and I don't want to wait quite so long. So here, we're in the age breed case. Here, we're going to execute the false case, and this true case is all dead code because it's never going to reach it. So we can just get rid of this. So Control Space Control R to get rid of that. Control Space Control Shift R to get rid of the case structure and keep any code inside of it. And now we've just removed some nesting. And let's see if our tests pass. So I'm going to close this because I don't think we need this open. And that might make our tests go a little faster. Actually, let me close everything and we'll run it and see if that helps the test run. Oops. Did not mean to close the project. Oops. Sometimes that happens. Let me open the Gilded rows without any VIs open and just run the test and see what happened. So, yeah, even the experts make mistakes sometimes. All right. And you'll notice it returns a lot faster this time. Hey, much faster without the VI open. And it passed. Cool. So I probably could have made more commits, but I'm going to commit right now. Split cases and simplify cases and eliminated dead code. Once split. So dead code, once I split it, there was some dead code and I eliminated that. Cool. And now I can get back to this point at any point if I have to. So let's go back to our update quality and see what else we can do. So you notice I should have told you, I think it was nested like 6 deep. So this is like, right, we got rid of that entire case structure, so that got rid of some nesting. And in this case, we got rid of this, which was some nesting as well. That's not that case, this case. Right, there was some more nesting around this that we got rid of. All right. So what we're going to do is simplify each of these, selling and quality. So here, right, we're checking the selling, we're checking the quality, but you'll notice in this case we're not doing anything, right? So essentially these both have to be true to get to this, because in this case we're also not doing anything. So if both of these are true, so if selling is less than 11 and quality is greater than 50, we're updating the quality. Otherwise, we're not doing anything, right? So we can move this quality check out. Now I could grab this and move this out and add an and here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate a property node here, and I'm going to combine those two property nodes. I'm going to select the property quality out here, and I'm just going to drag this out. I'm going to insert an and. And if we get in there, that means both of those are true, so we can remove this. And, you know, we're dealing with some Boolean logic here. It's possible I swapped states or got something wrong, so let's go run our tests again. And I'm going to actually close this again because that was just, it actually ended up being quicker to close it and then run the test. And I think I have to close both the front panel and the block diagram. And now I'll run the test again. Kind of sucks to close it to run the test again, but it'll be much faster. Hey, cool, passed. Cool. So now I say combine checks, I guess. Combined two conditional checks. So cool, I did that. And in case anybody wants to see it, I'll just go do it to the other one real quick, because the other one is also the same. Right, so here I'm checking selling and quality, and in the false cases I'm not doing anything, so I'm only really doing anything when both of those are true. So I can just do this. Okay, so now if I'm in here, both of these are already true, and I can just eliminate that, and I've eliminated another layer of nesting, and I don't know why this wire is all, that could be a little bit nicer. And again, I'll go save that and close that BI. Make sure I got the front panel closed and run my test again. Takes a second. Hey, passed. Cool. And notice my test time went down. So as I'm eliminating these case structures, less and less test time is needed. So that's how you get rid of some of this nesting. Actually, let me double check. I don't think there was anything to do in the other case, was there? Just to be sure. Nope. And then we can do this actually. So actually, let's do one more. I'll tell you another little trick. Right? Okay, so here we're checking the name. Here we're checking for not equal to Sulphurous Hand of Ragnaros, right? Well, that would be, so we should add a case for Sulphurous Hand of Ragnaros here. And I will do a couple more. All right, so here, this Sulphurous Hand of Ragnaros, right, if the quality is less than 0, it's not doing anything. If that's true, it's also not doing anything. So this means these two things have to be true out here. So let's just do that. Select property name. I was going to do a little bit less, but I'll do this. I think it's interesting to watch people. If you want to go do the exercise, go do the exercise. If you find this boring, but if you're interested, stick around and watch. So I'm going to insert an and there. Right, cool. Now, what am I going to do here? I'm going to, so when it's not that, okay, so I can do this, right? So I can remove this, and I can remove this. Now that one, for some reason, that not is kind of messing me up, so I'm definitely going to make sure I run the test now just to see. Well, did I actually close that block giant? Good. Okay, cool. Run the test. Cool, and I'm going to make a commit. Combine some more conditionals. Oops, I gotta do -am. Cool. Alright, now though, what I can do is I can duplicate this case. I can create one for, the default is not Sulfurous Hand of Ragnaros. Right? And if it is Sulfurous Hand of Ragnaros, then equal, then it's not, then it's gonna be false. So then we go there. Okay, cool. So this logic's still a little tricky, but I think what I want to do is duplicate case. And I want it to be that. So now I got a case for each one. Hey, I'm starting to get to where I want to be, right? There's a normal, which is a default. There's sulfurous, backsafe patches, and HB. Those are the, if you read the instructions, which we didn't read on here, but if you go read the README, it's got instruction. I'll tell you those are for. So that's getting us to a good state. Now though, this check, if it's in here, it's already sulfurous Hand of Ragnaros. So it's going to be true. That's going to be false, which means that's always going to be false. We're always going to do the false. So, oops, yeah, in the false case, we're not doing anything. And so we can probably just get rid of that. And that's the sulfurous case. Let me run the tests again, and then we'll handle the default case. Just because I'm unsure enough that logic is convoluted enough that I would like to just run it. Hey, cool. Notice I haven't failed a test yet, so, but that's intentional, right? So what we want to practice is going slowly and taking, not even going slowly, taking really small, safe steps. Right? And if we do that, we can actually do them quite fast. But we have to remember to take small, safe steps and not try to run way ahead. So let's go to the default case. So if the default case, there is a case for sulfurous Hand of Ragnaros, so this is always going to be true, right? This is always going to be true, it's always going to be false, which is always going to be true. So we don't actually need this, and we don't need this. We don't need to do this check. We can just rely solely on that check. And so if it's greater than 0, we're going to decrease it by 1. And if you read the description of the problem, you'll see that that's the logic that we actually want. So I'm pretty confident in that, but let's save this. And let's do this. Let's run the test again. Did I close all those? Yeah, good. Let's run it so it runs fast. Cool. And when you're doing this on your own, you don't have to do all these steps exactly the same order that I did them in or whatever. Maybe the first time through, if you do that, but I would try it another time and try something else just to see. It's all about experimenting. So, maybe try it once the way I did it, and if you have time, do it again and do it a different way. There are many different ways to simplify this kata down. Generally, you end up in a similar place, but although not always, you can end up with some slightly different variations. Okay, so now to combine this. This is saying if name is not sulfurous Ragnaros. So let me get rid of this not, actually. So let me make this case false. Okay, I don't like that not. I probably should have done that on the first one before I did all that, and that might have even made that easier. So yeah, if you have a not here, you can always delete the not, flip the case. So that's a technique. I don't remember the name of that. I don't know, invert case or something. I don't know. There's probably a fancy name for that in the Fowler book, but I don't remember what it is. If somebody figures that out, you can let me know. But let me just run my test again. And it should keep running faster because I'm eliminating some checks. So that's good. All right, so in the first Ragnaros case over here, I have to add nothing. And in the case when it's not sulfurous Ragnaros, I have to add this into every other case. So let's do that. And I know Stefan's yelling at me if he's watching this because there is a quick drop shortcut that lets you copy stuff and insert it on the wire, and I do not have that installed. I probably should. In this case, it's simple enough. So I add it to the default case. I have to add it to the other cases as well. So first case, I'm not adding it. Backstage pass, I am going to add it. And maybe I need to make a tiny bit of space here. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it neat, but I'm going to be hacky at this, so I don't need to keep it super neat. I just need to keep it neat enough that I can make out what I'm doing until I get to the point where I feel like I can. Now, if there were a lot of cases, I don't know, there might be a better strategy than what I'm doing as far as just copying and pasting, but there's only 3 or 4 cases, so this is a totally reasonable strategy. And now we can control space, control R, all of this. Ooh, all right. Now let's close this and run our tests. Oh, something failed. Huh, okay, so now you get to see. Now I get to come down here and see, okay, backstage passes. All right, so this is an interesting learning experience, okay? What can I do here? What can I do? Well, I have a couple options, okay? Here are my options. I can just say, hey, go delete everything, right? Go to git revert, because I just made a commit, and I can go try again and be extra careful this time and see if I get the same result. I can also look at this and say, hey, the cell in out is off by 1. I should be subtracting another 1. And which case is that? Well, when the input is backstage passes, quality is 50, and depending on the cell in, those all need to go. But apparently backstage pass, quality out 50. So that's the input. If it's 49, okay, so let's see if we can troubleshoot this. Typically what I would do is set a timer. If I can't finish this in the time, then I give up. So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and just kind of see what happens. So I'm going to grab my phone, set a timer for 5 minutes. I'll give myself 7. Actually, it might take me a little longer since I'm talking through it as I go. All right. So the problem is in that. Let me go back here and just make sure I know. So if you're at home, this is Beyond Compare. So there is a video that shows how to set up the approval tests. If you haven't watched that already, go watch that, set it up. If you can get the Beyond Compare, that is the way to go. There's also a WinMerge. If you're looking at WinMerge, it will also be useful. The basic approvals just fails the test. I'm working on adding some like native diff tools to it, but Beyond Compare is really what you want, or WinMerge if you don't have the money to afford Beyond Compare. You need the pro version of Beyond Compare. If you have the free version's awesome. I love it, but it won't let you call it from the command line, which is what's needed to do this. So it's showing me this is all that changed. So I'm looking at this bar on the left. This is a chunk that changed. One difference in sections, and it's this section. So let's have a look. All I did, I only put it inside the true case. See, all these nesting, I lost sight of where I put it. So I'm actually glad that I did look at this. So it's always worth setting its timer for a few minutes and going and look at it, because sometimes it's just a stupid dumb typo, right? Or I forgot to connect a wire or something, so I'm just going to move this out here. But it is worth setting a timer, because you can go down a rabbit hole where it's like, oh, just one more thing. Let me try this other thing. Oh, I bet this is it. And next thing you know, you spent like an hour on it. It's like, yeah, I should have just threw it away and started over. So this is actually a really good learning experience. So anybody who dipped out of the video early because they got bored is going to miss this learning experience. Oh, well, if it happens to be one of your friends, you can tell them that they missed a good learning experience. All right, let me close this and run the test now. And again, even experts make mistakes. That's why we got the tests. And I didn't do that intentionally. I just miscounted the number of case structures there, which is part of the problem with nesting that deep. And this is going to say got rid of middle case structure. Cool. I like that. I was just going to demo a few things, but I'll just keep going, because let me get this down to where this is also driven by the name, and then I'll stop. All right. So here's the deal. We check to see if this is less than 0. We do nothing in that case. We do nothing. Oh, this actually has 2 different cases. All right. Let me think a second about what the best way to flatten some of these are. So what I want to do is start slowly migrating these things back and back and back. So first step. So small steps, right? Remove that and swap this. Where is it? I want to do the make this case false. Okay, cool. So let's do that and let's test it. And I'm going to make a commit there too. So when I'm unsure or overwhelmed or don't quite know what to do, because I don't really know how to simplify that thing immediately, I take small steps and I make a commit. Cool. Okay, I made a commit. Awesome. And my test passed. All right. So I removed the not. Let me see. Do I want to make this? Okay, so this has to be true. And this has to be true. So I can... Wait. Oh, this is in the false case it's doing that. Okay. Actually, maybe I want to put that back in. I want to move this out, put that back in. Yeah, actually, I want to go back. Huh. Okay, so I made a commit, and I decided, yeah, I don't want to do that. So how do I go back? All right, let me see. Let me remember my get foo. Get reset. Actually, I want to make sure this VI is closed. And often when you do this, you'll want to exit LabVIEW, but I don't think I do. So I want to reset hard. That's going to take my video demo and move it back a commit. And it's going to throw everything, all the changes away. And I want to move back to head tilde. Cool. Now I'm back to where I got rid of the middle case structure, and if I open this, that knot should still be there, just to make sure. Ah, it didn't. Okay, it had it in memory. Let me exit and restart LabVIEW, and it should. So you do have to be a little bit careful when you revert stuff in Get. This is not a course on Get. However, I do have a course on Get, so shameless plug there. If you've already signed up for this course, you'll know on Thinkific we also have a Git course. I'll teach you some Git food like that. So now if I open that, I should have a knot. And we should be good. Let's see. There is a knot there. Cool. All right. So both of those have to be true, so I can just move this out here. Maybe that's a better first step. Name. Yep, because for that internal thing to happen, both of those have to be true. So this works. And again, I don't like that wire's not straight, but I think we're okay. And that is my timer for my 7 minutes. I'm already on to the next thing. So, but good thing I set the timer so I wouldn't go down a rabbit hole. So let me save this. And now let's run our tests and see and make sure that works. I'm really hoping if you're following along that me narrating that you're following my thought process. Because that's what I really want to impart with this is just the way I'm thinking about the problem, the way I'm going about it. You're going to get the most benefits from that. So let me remove the layer of nesting. I'll just call it that. I don't know. Somewhat descriptive. If you want to know what actually changed, there's only one VI you can run LV compare and it'll tell you. So I think that's probably enough of a description. All right. Now I can just move these out. So, right. So in order for this to happen, both of these must be true. So this must be true and that must be true. In the false case, we're doing this. Yeah. So there's what you were in there. Well, hold on. Does that work? And so this is the and case, but this is the This section is definitely trickier. All right. Let me think about this. What small changes can I make? Greater than 50, and it's not. Let me get rid of this knot and this knot. No, it's that. I'm trying to think of what that adds. Well, first of all, quality minus quality, that's just setting it to 0. So let's just do that. That's dumb, but it's a step. Doesn't help us simplify that, but at least gets rid of something. And let's run our test. You know, sometimes if you don't know what to do, just do something that's low-hanging fruit, that's easy, and maybe you're simplifying it. It's going to make the rest of the logic a little less complicated. So let me run the test and make a commit. I really do forget how I did this. I've done this several times, but for whatever reason. All right. Git commit -am. Replace the was that quality minus quality with 0. Cool. All right. All right. So we're checking the cell in. All right, so we're checking the cell in and we're not doing anything. So true. So if that's true and that's true, so can I move this inside here? And in the false case, we're not doing anything. Yeah. All right, here's instead of moving that out, let's move this in. Select property, cell in. I realize that might have made that a little ugly with that string there, wire there, but that's okay. And we'll insert an AND. Hey, okay, cool. So we did something there. Right, we removed a layer, so let's see if that actually worked before we get too excited. So let's do this. Let's run the tests. Oh, whew, okay, that failed, so don't do that. And that actually failed wildly. If you happen to accidentally close out, you can go back to the test, and you can just do that and compare to get it back. But wow, okay. When you do that, just notice now the approved is on the left and the received's on the right, and it was the other way around. But wow, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff wrong. So that's got to get thrown away. Notice I exit there. It may help too to clear the cache. You shouldn't have to exit LabVIEW. It's not a terrible habit to get into, but we'll see if it goes back on. In this case, I will know if it goes back because that was pretty obvious. Yeah, okay. All right. These knots are really tripping me out. Let's see. All right. Well, actually, let me just run the test just to make sure that when I set us back, we test still pass. Sure, it should. But let's just make sure. Cool. Sorry. All right, so let's think about this. Yeah, all right. So Sulfurous Hand of Ragnaros. I can move this in here. Does that help anything? I don't know. Maybe that's what I want to do. And sometimes you take a circuitous route to get to where you want to go. Path is never straight. All right, and put this inside a true case. In the false case, we'll just do nothing. Cool. And we can eliminate that check. Now I think we're getting somewhere. All right. Then we can remove that. And that should all work. So let's close this down. This code is actually rather hard, so. Please walk. Cool. All right. Took a step backward and added a layer. Added a layer of nesting, but I think with good cause. I think with good cause. Because what I was doing was pushing all of those things that are checking the name closer together. So if you remember, when we started, the quality was here and the name was here. So now we're going this way. All right, let me tell you what I want to do. What do I want to do? Let me think about this a second. All right, I didn't plan on going this far. I was going to stop earlier, so. All right. Yeah, there's some easy stuff there. I can always replace that with a decrement. That's kind of silly, stupid, but let's do that. Just to give me some more thinking room. Oh, I guess I can't just do that. Yeah, there's a bunch of +1s and -1s. We can replace those with decrements. And let's just run the test and make a commit. And I'm sure there's somebody who's watching this who's already figured out how to do this and is shouting at me and saying, Sam, just do this thing and it'll all suddenly all work. All right. Let me think about this a second. If I can get rid of this, and I can make this case statement driven by is it Hand of Ragnaros or not. Let me try that. Let's see what I can do with that. Let's see what I can do with that. And make this case false. Okay, cool. So now we're doing this. And I'm going to not make a commit here, but I am going to run the test before I do the next step. Now, instead of true or false, true is Hand of Ragnaros. I think I'm on the right track now. Cool. So that's Hand of Ragnaros. Nope. Pay attention there. That would have caught me. Cool. And this is the default. Okay, I like this now. Now I feel like I'm getting somewhere. This is definitely going somewhere. All right, let me run my test again. I am not going to finish this. I'm going to get to the point where this case structure is driven by the name, and then you can combine the two case structures where they're driven by the name by combining the two frames. That's just you. You can figure that part out. And I've been doing this for a while, so I'm kind of tired of doing this, but I'm intrigued now. All right. So now I'm going to commit. Made structure case driven by name. Name instead of Boolean. And now we can use some of the stuff that we did before. All right, cool. That's dead code. I don't need to do anything for that. But now we can do the same thing with this. And now we're getting somewhere. Now we're going somewhere. Now we're cooking with gas. All right. Cool. So let me close this and run the tests again. Oh, I still got it. I was worried for a second. I was like, I don't really know where this thing's going. But it worked. Awesome. Switch another case to be driven by name. Hopefully you can see where I'm going with this. If not, hopefully it will all become clear soon. But now we have a default case and a default case. So if we're in the default case, hand of Ragnos. So what I want to do is add a sulfurous hand of Ragnos case to this. So I'm going to duplicate this case and make it this. And now in the default case, because I already have a sulfurous hand of Ragnos, I don't have to check that for that special case. Make sure the default's selected. There we go. And in the sulfurous hand of Ragnaros case, it's going to execute that case. So I can go. Now I combine those two, and now I've got all three cases here, and this should still pass my test. Awesome. I like this. Cool. Collapsed names. Cool. Now, actually, I'm going to push this demo in case anybody wants to look at it later. And this is going here, SASLV Kata's Gilded rows. I'm not creating a merge request, but that's where it's getting pushed. And actually, I think I have one for the refactoring class. It has its own separate repository. I think if I do that, it will also push it there. Cool. So it should be in both of those repositories now. Okay. I'm getting excited about this because this is now we're cooking with gas. Because my test did pass. Cool. All right, now we're going to do this again. And that was, the true case was aged brie. Cool. And this is the default case. Cool, run my tests. All right, now we're cooking. Did it again. Cool. All right, now I can do this. Okay, default aged brie. But the default, now I need a case for each of these. So I'm going to duplicate this twice. In this first Hand of Ragnaros case, we're doing nothing, so I can just delete all of this. And now I need to duplicate this again for the backstage passes case. Cool. And then just clean up the default to where I don't have to check this. I'm just always going to execute the default. Oops, that was Control Space, Control Shift R is what I needed. And let's close this and run our tests. I think we're getting close. Git status. Git commit-am. Updated quality, collapsed again. I don't know, there's probably a very specific name for that, and I don't know what it is. If you've got an idea for a name, let me know. I'll be happy to name it in honor of you. Okay. So we're getting closer. We're getting so much closer. All right. Now, okay, in this false case, we're not doing anything, right? So what we need to do is move this inside each one of these cases. So here, do this. And there's much more you can do to shore these down, but we can make this. And as long as we make that the true case, we should be good. And we can test actually each one of these by themselves. But I'm going to do all of them at once. This first Hand of Ragnaros, we're not doing anything anyway, which is what the false case is, so we don't care about that one. This one, And the test will tell us if we get it wrong, so it's nothing too crazy. Now notice I am adding an extra layer here for a minute, an extra layer of nesting, but that's going to be okay. It's going to be for the better. So sometimes you take a step forward and sometimes, you know, things go backwards a little bit too. It's fine. It's not a straight path. And let me move this away from the edge so I don't lose track of where I am. Okay, cool. And this guy go in here. But we're going to get rid of that outer loop. So in reality, our nesting is actually going to stay the same. And we even got rid of one layer in one spot because for the Ragnaros one, we didn't have to add this part. And we could test it now, but I'm just going to remove this and do one more step. It should all work as is, but we're going to remove this and... Alright, I told you I would get to the point where this is driven by the name. Cool. Save. Run tests. Please. Yes! Woohoo! Get status. Get commit. Moved. Check inside. Moved. What were we checking? Sell by. Check. Inside the name case structure. Everybody see why this is so important? Because now what we've got is we are checking the name here and doing something based on the name, and then here we're checking the name again and doing something based on the name. And all of these cases, each one of these cases has a corresponding case over there. So I can go to the, so first hand of Ragnaros case, that part's easy. And I can just take whatever it's doing there. That's doing nothing in either case, so that's fine. But I can take the backstage pass case. And I will show you the rest of this. And make sure I put it in the outer one, and then I just have to drag this over there. So maybe it's worth shrinking this down a little bit. I'm going to paste it here. And this I would probably do one by one. So I did that for the backstage pass. And now I'm going to run the tests. Cool. So move the backstage pass over. And the aged brie. So what am I doing over here for the aged brie? I'll go back and clean that up in a second. Make sure I'm in the aged brie case. Yes, cool. Make sure I do it at the end before I exit the case, right? So that whatever's there is going there. And I'm going to actually move the other one before I do anything. The default. Default. And if I go here to the default, And I can actually delete this because none of these are doing anything. So I'll just delete this whole thing. Delete. Control space, Control Shift R actually. Oh, but because I didn't wire that through, it broke it. That's alright. Right here. Alright, cool. Now let's just see if the tests pass. Hey, cool. Case driven, main case driven by name. So I hope you like this video. It should be inspiring in the sense that you don't have to know exactly what you're doing as you go. You just kind of have to have a direction you want to go and keep taking small steps in that direction. Now, I am just going to commit the cardinal sin of just hitting block diagram cleanup and see what happens. Well, it almost fits on one screen, so that's good. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that we can combine and change. Like, for example, right, all these -1s we can replace with decrements. We're checking stuff multiple times. Like here, we're checking it and we're doing some other stuff. So this can definitely be simplified, I think, like some of the other ones. So first hand of Ragnaros, we're not doing anything. If you read the descriptions, it just like, it's always the same. Backstage passes are more complicated. We got a bunch of stuff going on. We can work on figuring out some of this logic. But this is all mostly simplifying logic, not as much about simplifying nesting. We got rid of a lot of the nesting. There's still some nesting here, but there are definitely some things we can do to clean a lot of this up. But we got down to one case per item. So now if we wanted to add a new item, we could just add a new item and do that, and we would be a step closer to cleaning all this up. So I've been at this for about an hour. I did not intend this video to be that long, but hey, if you stuck around, great. I hope you got a lot out of it. I actually learned quite a bit. The end of that was actually quite nice. And, you know, there's still a bunch of stuff that can be worked out here. A lot of these reading and writing quality nodes are kind of, you know, like you could take this and you could drop this down and grab the cell in here, eliminate that, right? And you could maybe say, hey, either set the quality to what the quality was before, or add one if it's greater than 50, and that simplifies that chunk of logic. And there's a whole bunch you can do. But anyway, I will go ahead and push this to both. So I'm going to get push origin. That pushes it there. And I will also push it if you grabbed it from the refactoring. That pushes it to the SAS LV Katas. I'm also going to push it to the SAS Workshop / refactoring / Gilded rows. So, awesome. Hope you liked it. Thanks.